The rain had just started falling when her car finally gave up, stalling in the middle of a narrow, broken street that most people avoided unless they had no other choice. And for a moment she just sat there gripping the steering wheel, feeling that familiar weight in her chest, the kind that comes when life reminds you how small and helpless you can feel even when the world thinks you have everything. This story is not about luxury or power at first glance. It's about a simple moment that changed two lives forever. So before we go any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and quiet miracles that happen when no one is watching, take a second to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, subscribe to the channel for more real and heart-touching stories, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Her name was Emily Carter, and to the world she was invisible. Just another modestly dressed young woman sitting in an old, dusty sedan with faded paint, no makeup on her face, her hair tied back simply, looking like someone struggling to get by. No one passing by would ever guess that she controlled a business empire worth billions, or that her name quietly appeared on lists that celebrated the most powerful women in the world. Emily had learned long ago how to disappear, how to live, without drawing attention, because wealth had once taken everything from her that mattered, and she refused to let it define her again. Years ago, after inheriting her family's fortune far too young following a tragic accident that took both her parents, she had been surrounded by fake smiles, greedy hands, and people who loved her money more than her heart. That pain carved something permanent into her, and ever since, she lived simply, drove her own car, wore plain clothes, and moved through the world wanting to be treated like a human being, not a prize. That afternoon, fate decided to test that belief. As the rain grew heavier, Emily stepped out of the car, lifted the hood with hands that shook more from exhaustion than fear, and stared at an engine she didn't understand. Cars sped past, splashing dirty water onto the cracked pavement, some drivers glancing briefly before looking away, unwilling to stop in a neighborhood known more for struggle than safety. Just as she was about to give up and call roadside assistance, a voice called out from behind her, rough but calm, asking if she needed help. She turned and saw a man in his late 30s, his hands stained with grease, his clothes worn from years of hard labor, standing beside a small, open-air repair shop, made of rusted metal sheets and hanging tools. His name was Daniel Brooks, a street mechanic who had spent most of his life fixing other people's problems while barely holding his own life together. Daniel had once dreamed of becoming an engineer, but when his father fell ill in medical, bills piled up, dreams were replaced by survival, and the streets became his classroom. He saw something in Emily's eyes that day, not wealth or status, but loneliness and frustration, a quiet kind of sadness he recognized all too well. Without asking for money or making promises, he pushed her car toward his shop while the rain soaked them both, treating the moment like it was nothing special. Just another human helping another human. Daniel worked silently, listening to the uneven rhythm of the rain hitting the metal roof, carefully tightening, adjusting, cleaning, his movements precise despite the chaos around him. Emily watched from a distance, feeling something unfamiliar settle inside her chest, a warmth she hadn't felt in a long time, because no one around her ever helped without expecting something in return. When Daniel finally closed the hood and wiped his hands on a rag, he told her the problem was small, a loose connection made worse by time and neglect. When she reached into her bag to pay him, pulling out several $100 bills without thinking, Daniel gently pushed her hand away, shaking his head and telling her it wasn't necessary, that he had seen worse days and survived, and that sometimes people just needed a break. Emily froze, confused, almost embarrassed, because no one had ever refused her money before. In that moment, the rain seemed to soften, the noise of the street fading, as she realized how rare genuine kindness truly was. She thanked him quietly, drove away slowly. But something inside her refused to let the moment end there. That night, Emily sat alone in her minimalist apartment overlooking the city skyline, staring at the lights that symbolized power, money, and control, yet feeling emptier than she had all day. She couldn't stop thinking about Daniel, about his hands, worn and scarred, about the way he looked at her, not with curiosity or desire, but simple respect. She pulled up her laptop and did what she had done her whole life when searching for truth. She investigated. It didn't take long to learn about the neighborhood, about the struggles mechanics like Daniel faced, about how one unexpected expense could destroy everything. Memories flooded back of her own parents, humble and kind before wealth complicated their lives, and suddenly she knew she couldn't just let this go. But Emily didn't want gratitude to turn into pity, and she didn't want to reveal who she was, not yet. Instead, she returned the next day, dressed the same way, driving the same old car, pretending she just happened to be passing by. She watched from across the street as Daniel worked tirelessly, charging barely enough to survive, helping people who needed it most, and absorbing the world's weight without complaint. Over the following weeks, Emily found excuses to visit the shop, sometimes with minor car issues, sometimes just to say hello, always observing, always listening. She learned that Daniel lived with his younger sister Lily, who dreamed of becoming a nurse but whose education was constantly interrupted by lack of funds. She learned that Daniel had turned down shady offers, illegal shortcuts that could have made him rich fast because he refused to lose his integrity. Every visit deepened Emily's internal struggle, because she wanted to help so badly, yet feared that revealing her wealth would destroy the purity of what they had built. Meanwhile, Daniel saw Emily as just another kind soul passing through his difficult world, someone whose presence made the long days a little lighter. He never imagined that the quiet woman with tired eyes controlled companies that moved markets and influenced governments. Fate, however, had its own timing. One evening, a fire broke out near the repair shop, spreading quickly through neighboring structures, destroying tools, parts, and years of Daniel's hard work. By the time the flames were extinguished, everything he had built was reduced to ash and twisted metal. Daniel stood there in silence, rain once again falling like it had the first day they met, feeling like the universe had finally taken too much. When Emily heard the news, something inside her broke open. She rushed to the site, ignoring the risk, ignoring the questions, standing beside Daniel as he stared at the ruins of his life. For the first time, she saw him cry, not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly, like someone who had run out of strength. That was the moment Emily realized that staying hidden was no longer an act of humility, but an act of cruelty. She told him everything, who she was, what she owned, how much power she truly had, and waited for the rejection she had grown used to. Daniel listened in stunned silence, disbelief written across his face, anger flickering briefly, then something unexpected happened. He laughed, a tired, broken laugh, and told her that it didn't change anything, that she was still the woman whose car he fixed for free, still the person who listened without judgment. That response shattered Emily in the best possible way. In the days that followed, she quietly rebuilt the shop, better than before, providing new equipment, safety measures, and opportunities for apprentices in the neighborhood, all under Daniel's name, never taking credit. She funded Lily's education, ensured fair wages, and invested in the community without turning it into a headline. As time passed, the shop became a symbol of hope, a place where honesty mattered more than profit. And Emily found herself healing in ways she never thought possible. She learned that wealth, when guided by compassion, could restore rather than destroy, and Daniel learned that accepting help didn't mean losing dignity. Their bond deepened, not as a fairy tale romance built on money, but as a partnership, rooted in mutual respect and shared values. Years later, when Emily finally stepped into the public eye again, announcing initiatives focused on empowering honest workers, people were shocked to learn where it all began, on a broken street in the rain with a free repair. And now, as this story comes to a close, if this journey of kindness, humility, and second chances touched your heart even a little, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who believes in humanity, and subscribe to the channel so more stories like this can be told. Before the final moment, we have one special request for you. Please comment below with one word that describes how this story made you feel, because your words matter more than you know. Emily and Daniel's story reminds us that true wealth is not what you own, but what you give when no one is watching? And sometimes, the smallest act of kindness can quietly change the world. Asterisk.